Hey, hey guys, Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic. I am here, and this is actually a special edition. I am to talk. This is the Real Critic Roundtable, and we're here today to talk about a couple of movies. My co-hosts may be on, and they may not be on because it is Thanksgiving weekend. We're going to talk about a couple of movies. We're going to talk about a couple of movies today. Well, if they make it, then we'll talk about it. But I'll talk about them if they do not make it. Couple movies. We'll talk about King Richard. Got to interview Sanaya Sidney as well as Demi Singleton, who they played Venus and Serena Williams, and I got to talk to them. You could check out my interview with them on YouTube or at my website, which is reggieponder.com. They do sing for us. So what's funny about that is that I guess they like karaoke as much as Serena likes karaoke. So that's pretty cool. Talk a little bit about the movie The Power of the Dogs, and that's starring Benjamin Cumberbatch and Kirsten Dunst and other folks. So talk a little bit about that, and then I'll talk a little bit about the House of Gucci, and that actually comes out today. Now, what I forgot to tell you guys is that I will also talk a little bit about the new Halle Berry movie, Bruised, and that's out as well. Well, no, I think that comes out actually that comes out tomorrow, and it's where Halle Berry is directing it, and she stars in it as a washed up MMA fighter. There's This is that time of year where everybody's trying to figure out what movies can be what are going to be the movies to watch, what are going to be the movies to get the best awards. So we're watching a lot of movies right now, and it's a lot of movies. So before I get into that, because I want to give my co-host a chance to jump on. We usually start at 10, so I'll give them a chance to jump on. But before I do that, I will tell you, I am see, here we go. We got my girl coming in right now, and we're gonna jump right into it as soon as I oh well, she was in the waiting room, but she might be having some problem. KB is in the house. She might be having a little bit of problem with her internet. So as she tries to get back on, because I saw her in the waiting room, but she kind of jumped out. Are you guys watching these Christmas movies on like Lifetime and Hallmark? I I always felt that they were kind of just generic movies. And why are we watching these movies? I can't even lie to you guys. I done got sucked in, and I've probably watched 6 Christmas movies, 3 on the Hallmark Channel, and 3, maybe no, 4 on the Hallmark Channel. I probably watched 8 movies, 4 on the Hallmark Channel, and then 4 on Lifetime. And we got a chance actually to talk to Holly Robinson Pete about a movie she's in. We got to talk to Shirley Ralph about a movie she's in, and you should be able to find that on the AFCA YouTube channel. So that'll be really cool. Again, I'm sitting here um, waiting for KB to come in, and because this is live, that means I need to check and see did she send me an email or a text message, because might be having some problems getting in. And if that's the case, then I'll just keep it moving without. All right, no email and no email nor text. So I'm watching these movies and they're addictive. I'd like to know from you guys, are these films addictive to you? Let me see if I see anything over here in the chat. So because they are addictive to me. I watched 2 of these movies yesterday, and oh, I got some comments happening here. Please share the link. Okay, I don't know. Oh, she might be talking about which movie. All right. So hey Debbie. So I'm glad you took a moment out of your schedule to jump in. I am again waiting for KB. In the she was in the waiting room, but it looks like she might be having some problems. So I will just start to get into it. All right. So oh, here she comes now. Here is KB in the house. So KB is in the house. KB, look, I already know that you are in and not even at home, and you trying to dial in and hang out with me. You know, I always say to you, thank you so much because I really always appreciate that you like to do that. First, let me ask you, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Still on the up and up. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know, it's getting to that Thanksgiving weekend time, and
Mm,
I am looking forward to some of that food. You know, I am.
you,
I really am. I'm looking forward to sitting down. And this is not going to happen, by the way, because the people are coming over my house. But
oh,
what I
y-
but what I was looking forward to doing is actually sitting down with my feet up, just eating until my stomach bursts. You know, but what's going to happen? That's not going to happen because since everybody's coming over my house, I'm going to be doing a lot of cleaning up because I don't cook nothing. I just want to make that clear. I don't cook anything, but I clean. I'm a good cleaner. Like
listen. Well,
so.
you and me both, Reggie, because I don't cook anything either.
Okay.
I made Thanksgiving dinner one year and it was too much work, and I said never again. So here we are.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'm like, you know, look, you cook, I'll clean, no problem. You
It's a
don't.
fair trade.
I'll wash the pans. I'll sweep the floors. I'll do all that type of stuff. But I'm not cooking anything. I might make something a dish, like one dish or something like that. But that's like a rarity. If you got me making something, something's wrong. So
So
I'm
what's your specialty then? If you're gonna do one dish, then what are you gonna make?
so this is really funny because this goes into the not cooking phase, right?
Okay.
I make salads well. I'm talking about all kind of salads. No, I'm serious. Like carrot salad, pasta salad, regular
Okay.
salad. I make salads well. So a fruit salad. And I try to make them look good too. So I'd be trying to decorate them and do all that stuff. But that's what I do. That's really about it for me. Is if you want me to do something and you want some salads, call me. I got you.
Listen, know thy strengths. I'm all about it. Know your strengths and lean into it. Okay.
So what's your dish, KB?
Listen, I can cook, so I'm not worried. I can cook any and
But what's the
everything.
dish? But what is the
Um,
dish? Like
well,
like
I'm not cooking anything on Thanksgiving,
I
but when
know,
I tell
but
you it's not happening, it's not.
all
But
right.
what is my signature dish?
Yes, yes.
Lasagna.
Okay.
Lasagna.
All
Hmm.
right. I like lasagna, so that means we're gonna be tasting that lasagna soon. Uh,
Yes.
look, uh, talking about seeing my friends, you guys get to go out to LA, chill. You get to see a couple of movies. I think you did Power of the Dog and what
Hmm.
else?
Belfast.
And
Belfast.
Belfast. You get to interview people, and this is how much of a friend you are to me. You're like, hey Reggie, did you check your email?
Listen.
They inviting you to stuff. I'm like, huh? What? You could have been out in LA with us, so don't be fronting. We went to LA, but you could have gone too. But talk a little bit about your experience out in LA, what you guys did, who you interviewed, and all that type of stuff. Since you saw Belfast and Power of the Dog.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't do any interviews for Belfast, but did go to the premiere. I will say that little baby Jude, who's in it, he is truly the star and his personality is amazing. But we did end up going to the press conference. He is just so polite and so thoughtful and so charismatic. What a cutie. And I love child actors because they are truly just going to be themselves. And that is what you get. He is just a little kid who happens to be in this film. He really, really wanted this part. He got it. He said he worked hard for it. He watched a lot of other movies for it. He was really trying to prepare, and he really soaked up all of the wisdom and the knowledge from the other actors on set. And they were like, listen, he is a professional. So I'm excited to see where Jude's career takes him, because he is a little sweetheart. With Power of the Dog, I did do my first in-person junket in a year and a half since February-ish 2020. The time has no meaning anymore. So my first in-person one, the last in-person one I did was for Birds of Prey in London, and I got to do Power of the Dog. So I talked to Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, and Cody, who steals the show in this absolute harrowing film. So it was a really great experience. Just seeing the film, doing the press conference, doing the junket was a really great opportunity. I have to shout out Sharonda Williams. She was our CCA moderator for the press conference for Power of the Dog, and she did a fabulous job. And so, it was a great opportunity to be able to go, and Jane Campion, who is the director and of the Power of the Dog, and truly like one of those veteran female filmmakers who really stands by it. I think she did a fabulous job with the Power of the Dog. It is truly, truly intense. And
It
now
is.
I have to read the book. Now I have
It,
to read the book.
it is. And so with that, we're gonna talk. We're gonna try to get in maybe 3 or 4 movies today. And again, I really appreciate you spending your holiday time because you're out try to enjoy yourself. So let's talk a little bit first about Belfast. Can you tell me what this one is about?
All right. Well, let me go ahead and pull it up. And I didn't even know Belfast wasn't on our list, so you throwing me a curveball.
Yeah, yeah, I'm throwing you a curve because you saw you. Well, I'll start. It's really about the turmoil in Belfast in the 1960s, and um, and what happens is this is actually a true story. Is that Kenneth Branagh?
Yeah.
This is really Kenneth Branagh's story about basically being like a 9-year-old kid and going through the time in which the Protestants and the Catholics were having this inner war within the country. And so what this really
Well,
looks at
it's specifically in Belfast, like
in Belfast, right?
specifically.
Right,
Hmm.
in Belfast, but and specifically in his neighborhood, and specifically on his block. So, absolutely. And what I found to be really interesting about this film is that while it was specific, and so it's really interesting that you just said in Belfast, while it was specific to Belfast, they made the characters and the situation so universal that I could have seen this play out anywhere in terms of what the family was going through. I really felt that the way they took a specific story and gave it a universality to it was really, really good. And you talk about the acting in this. I was hooked. I wanted to know. I wanted to know was the young boy gonna get the girlfriend? I want to know was the I was. I, I want to know was he going to get pulled into being a militant like his cousin was trying to get him to
Hmm.
be pulled into. I want to know how the conflict between the mother and the father was going to play out because the mom was like, "Look, this is my country. I want to stay here." So this family had to try to figure out: are we going to stay the course, or are we going to leave and try to find a better life for our children? So I just thought I thought that they did that. This was really a, a love letter to the time period, to the family, to the. I think they romanced almost everything, even though it was a conflict. I think they romanced the conflict. That they romanced all that, even though there were problems and things that were happening. I was hooked. I thought this was really good. I didn't think this was okay. This actually caught me. What were your thoughts on this one?
So Kenneth, bless his heart, because I went into Belfast. I like to go into a lot of movies without watching the trailer, so I had not seen the trailer for Belfast when I went into it. I wanted to just kind of experience it organically, and it was a lot funnier. than I anticipated it to be for kind of a period drama piece. It was hilarious. So when I say Jude stole the show, he truly showed the truly stole the show. There is a little bit of romance, kitty romance in there that I thought was brilliant to add in. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't say there was a filmmaking element, right? So Kenneth has always been enthralled with film, and that was kind of his escape during this time. He wanted to go to the cinema all the time with his family. He wanted to kind of escape the turmoil that was around him. And he also wanted to just be a kid in the theater. And so, his parents and his siblings obliged him by going to see all of these movies and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and he loved it. And so I think that that really kind of sparked, you know, his interest in filmmaking moving forward. And so he always kind of had that burst, that joy. So, it's really interesting because there is a lot of turmoil around it. And the adults, what I appreciate about this film is that oftentimes with children, we do shield them from a lot, but I kind of appreciated that his parents and his grandparents were very honest with their kids about what was happening around them. Like in a
Yeah,
lot of ways, they were really talking through the situation between the Catholics and the Protestants because the kids had a lot of questions. Jude finds himself in this torrid romance with this girl at school, but she is Catholic and he is Protestant. And so he feels like, oh my gosh, we can never be together because look what's happening, outside of my window. What's going to happen? And he wants to go the long distance with this young girl, which is so interesting. We probably should have asked Kenneth, like, where is this young girl now? Because he just knew he was going to be with her for the rest of his life. But through a series of events, they really just talk to them about everything that's going on as much as they possibly can. And then half of it is Jude just being nosy because he's a little kid and he's just kind of putting himself in situations, listening to what
I
his
love
parents are
that.
saying and that. So I think that the film was really endearing and it was really good. And I knew nothing about this event that occurred in Belfast prior to. It happened before my time, so to speak. And so I didn't know anything about it, but it was really interesting and it made me research it a bit more and kind of want some more, kind of background around it. But I will say what a lovely, surprising story, and the performances are so good, and Jamie Dornan sings, and he sang for us at the premiere party. He sang for us as well, and, he didn't take himself too seriously as the father in this movie, and I like that for him, because Jamie has done some really good performances, but he's also been in some things that, to his point, and he was like, "I've been in some things that people didn't really like." So he was like, "It's nice that people actually really like this film," and for a lot of them, it was like returning home because Jamie is from Belfast and, it was an opportunity to tell a story that was very close to home. The grandparents for me really stole the show,
I,
really talking about everlasting love, Judy Dench,
oh,
who is
I love Judy.
incredible, and Kieran Hines. Who is equally as accomplished in his career, just showing kind of the ups and downs and real life of a long lasting partnership and what that looks like, I thought was really beautifully done.
And the reason I said that I felt that it had a universal quality to it is that it had this family unit of mother, father, brother, grandparents, and it showed. I could see this anywhere. I could see it manifest itself anywhere about the trials and tribulations that each of those individuals were going through. And you talk about the grandparents. Oh my goodness! I mean, they really did. I don't even know if anybody stole the show, to tell the truth, because I thought
Well,
they were
yes, they did. Jude.
I
Jude.
thought they were all. I thought that they were all. I hear you. I really do. I thought that they all did what they needed to do. So when you look at the mom, for instance, is that she played that role so well to me. Is I was mad at her because I was like, "Don't you understand what he's saying? He's saying that y'all got to get up out of here. Y'all got to leave." I just felt that the casting in this was probably perfect. I really like this movie, and for people who don't know what that period or whatever, I think that you watch the movie and you'll be entertained. To your point
Yeah.
about there's some laughter, there's some tears, there's some heartache, there's some turmoil, there's all of that in this movie, and I just think that they did a good job in this one.
Yeah, I 100% would recommend it. I also would just recommend doing research after the film because for me, I think that that was the most intriguing part, kind of learning about this event and then taking away and kind of understanding more about it. Because I think at the end of this is a universal theme of, like we are all just human beings trying to make it in the world. And that's really, I think, the point that Kenneth was trying to get across with this film. And, while the parents were at war because the father was thinking from a protective standpoint, she was like, "My home is here, my family is here. I wanna teach the kids how to rise above conflict and how to deal with different difficult situations." And he was like, "I just want us to stay alive." So it was interesting kind of having that viewpoint in the
Absolutely.
film, and it was just wonderful and good to see. And also, child, I was dying with the chocolate in the candy store. Oh my gosh, this little boy, I mean, I
Come on
literally was rolling. So,
now.
you know, it's just when I say chocolate, I can't think of chocolate anymore without thinking of Jude and just how he's doing. So, just being able to be a typical kid in the midst of this kind of conflict, I think Kenneth really knocked it out of the park. And so, shout out to the whole cast.
Well, look, I'm sorry for surprising you on that one, but once you start talking about Belfast, I liked it and I want to do that one. Hey, bring us in on this movie, Power of the Dogs.
Ooh wee. Oh my goodness. So let me tell y'all how Power of the Dog, let me tell you how I also did not watch that trailer. It's my favorite thing to not watch a trailer and just pop into something. So I truly had no anticipation of what to expect. Like I mentioned before, Jane Campion is the director, and I think she also wrote the screenplay of this. It's starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, and Cody Smith McPhee.
Like,
And when
yeah.
I tell you, it is just a mess. So it's basically about two rancher brothers. They are cowboys, Phil and George Burbank. Phil is a terrorist, for lack of a better phrase. He is really salty in life. He is not happy with himself. He is not happy with circumstance. And we find out a lot of that has to do with him struggling with bouts of himself, self acceptance in a lot of ways, and his inability to be able to live his life out loud in the way that he chooses. George is his brother, who is much softer, much kinder. Um, I would say less of a rancher in a lot of ways. Like Phil is truly like, kind of the one doing all of the work. George is more of a businessman. That's probably the best
That's
way to
right.
put it
Absolutely.
in the sense. And the whole time, honestly, I was thinking, who raised both of these people? Because they are dramatically different. But George is kind, he's sweet. He meets Rose, who is a new widow. She has a son, and her son Peter is a teenager. He is unapologetically himself. He just lives in his truth. And what I like about Rose and Peter's relationship is that Rose allows him to be who he is. And his father obviously has passed on, and they all had such a close knit bond. And Rose is still grieving. So when she meets George, her life turns upside down because it's kind of an unexpected romance in the sense that Rose is a businesswoman. She is managing this business all by herself. She's managing raising Peter all by herself. She's doing a good job, but she is struggling. She doesn't give herself enough credit, if that makes sense. So she has a lot of anxiety around how she's doing it, and their worlds collide when they are joined in marriage. And Phil just goes on this kind of reign of terror. And Phil thinks he's playing chess, but turns out he's playing checkers when it comes to Peter. And that's all I gotta say.
So, here's the thing for me. Everybody's raving about Power of the Dog, and there are a number of things that I liked about the movie, but there's one big thing that makes this not the cinematic masterpiece for me that people are saying. So I want to talk about what I like. So first is that I think that there is something about the West that is so captivating. And the
Mm,
way in which this is shot, the way the backdrop of the West, that whole Western feel, the small towns, I, I'm already hooked. I'm like, you got me. I'm ready because I'm like you. I didn't look at the trailer either. I want to go in and see what this is about. And then you talk about the two brothers. The tension in this one is ever present, and
mhm.
you don't really understand why. I, in the beginning, they're sleeping in the same room in two beds next to each other. I'm like, y'all grown men. What's up with that? You know. as brothers. There was nothing, no hanky panky. If people think that's what I'm saying, I'm just saying as grown men, I'm trying to figure that out. Like what's up? Like, and one
I
brother's
think
like,
I think it was the time. I think it was the time period, right? They're both unwed. So, for that period of time, you live together
we
in this
bump.
house. You
That's right.
right.
That's
Mhm.
right. Right. But they got this big old house, and I'm like, really? So, but you're right. I think you're right. I think that the acting in this is really, really good. Not okay. It's really, really good because each of these characters, they they make you look at these characters in a way like, what's up with him? Like you just said it. Actually, you were like, what parent raised both of these people?
Truly.
Which parent raised both of these
And we
people?
and we only meet their parents for like 30 seconds, and you still don't get a sense of which parent raised who, 'cause
Oh, and once you see the parents,
you like,
I am
well, the parents didn't raise them.
girl.
That's what you feel like. You like, oh,
And then the light of this film, you talked about in the other film about stealing the show. I'll give you that. I'll give it to you because you want to say that. But Cody Smith McPhee stole this show.
this show. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Cody is the light in this show. And it's so much so that it makes me think of a picture of a black and white picture with everything black and white, but in the middle you seeing Cody and he's in color because
Mm,
that's how much he had the light that he shined in this film. And in the dark in this film, and you already talked about that, is Benedict Cumberbatch, excuse me. He's the dark, and all I can say is what happens in the dark will come to light. Uh, and so those are the things I like. So people were saying who might hear what I'm about to say next, don't forget to just take what I just said. I said I like all of that stuff. But here's the thing. I saw Jesse Plemons in a interview actually say what I was thinking, is that the film makes the audience go through the movie trying to figure out everything. And
mm,
so while you're trying to figure it out, I felt like I worked too hard trying to figure it out. It was just too much for me to be like, oh well, why? And after a while, I didn't care. After a while, the only person I cared about is the Cody character.
yeah,
I cared
Peter.
about it. Right. That's it. That's the only character. I thought that Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons, their relationship was interesting and all, but I really, really didn't care at the end of the day. I saw the conflict between the two brothers, but I'm like, are they going to kill each other? Are they going to do? I mean, what's going to happen? But I don't care. But I did
Mm,
care about that particular character. I just felt that it was really ambitious here. It had some secrets and some twists, and maybe for me, maybe the twist was just a little bit one too many, or the secrets were a lot. But the power of the dog was not as powerful for me. I would see it. I would absolutely see it, but I did not love this film like some of my film critics. So I like to hear your
mm.
thoughts.
Well, I will say this. Um, I think Jesse Plemons is an exceptional actor. I think that he has showed his range time and time again. If you are thinking that this is the Jesse Plemons show, you would be wrong. So I would say he is more of a background supporting character in this. It is really the Kirsten Benedict Cody show in terms of plot, in terms of secrets, in terms of intensity. It's really the three of them. So he does an okay job, but he's not at the center and he's not really meant to be, if that makes sense. Their relationship for me kind of happens organically, and so that's nice to see because you can tell his genuine spirit and his intrigue when it comes to it. But you're not watching this for Jesse Plemons. Quite frankly, you're really watching it for Benedict versus Cody in terms of acting on screen together and the tension and the nuance and the layers and the eyes. I will say this is unlike any performance that we've seen from Benedict in the sense that we have never seen him play someone so purely evil. And when you're trying to get to the root of that evil, to your point, you are wondering what it's about. But I kind of caught on very early. He and George were best friends, they're brothers in his mind. Phil has always been a tormentor, and you can tell in the way that he talks to George that George has internalized that torment all of his life, and he's just kind of accepted it, right? So Phil doesn't necessarily view his torment as being wrong because his brother just deals with it, right? So he is deeply hurt and blindsided when George moves on with Rose. Deeply hurt because that was never really the plan and
No
he didn't
doubt.
see it coming. You know, he didn't see it coming.
That's right.
And the thing about Phil is Phil doesn't know how to properly communicate his emotions. He does so through a reign of terror, right? So he's one of those little kids that you can tell that their parents never disciplined them in any way. They just allowed them to have like these large, big feelings, but never actually talked to them about it or disciplined or structured. You know, like
Yeah.
they didn't cultivate it in him. So he just blows up and has an adult temper tantrum at everything that goes wrong. And
Everything.
sometimes they're subtle and sometimes they're grand. So, I just think he unexpectedly meets his match in Peter in so many ways, right? Peter don't care what Phil thinks. Like that's the truth because he's raised by a woman who allows him to just be himself. And their bond is so tight that Peter's like, "Oh, you mess with my mama, this gonna be your last." Because let me tell you how she allows me to be who I am. I allow her to be who she is. We're gonna fight for each other because we're a package deal. Like we're truly a team. If y'all think you and George are a team, that's not true. Because me and my mama are truly the team, and we're gonna make sure that the team is good no matter what. And so I enjoyed the twist because I
Okay.
was like, "Oh, like I didn't really see it coming at all." And I just think the performances are exceptional. Now,
Yeah.
I still think to your point, Cody is the one because there's so many things that Cody actually doesn't even say as Peter. He just does with his eyes. He does in his mannerisms. He does with just, a single tear. He does with just being frustrated and you understand Peter's POV very clearly no matter what you're doing. And I think that that is, really good for me. So I liked it. Yep, yep, look at that. Exactly.
Eh, I
So
had
I
to.
liked it. I
I,
liked it, I liked it. I think people should see it, but I will say it is very slow building. So to your point, it takes a while to get cranked up and for you to realize what's truly happening. There are a lot of inferences. So Jane doesn't right out say some things. She just infers a lot that you'll have to play into. And I will say it's too long. It's quite
yeah.
long. It
I'm
is
so
I'm
glad you
like,
said that.
"Y'all, cut
Yeah.
this down, please,
Yeah, yeah,
truly."
it is long, and that might be part of my issue as well, is that it is a bit long. Here's my question for you: is that I do think that these performances will probably get uh, noticed at award season. I really do. I think that these performances in here
Mhm.
this will get noticed. My question is this a for me? This is not a film, and people will take this wrong. I think this is not a film though that I'll want to go back and watch again. So
Oh, you know
I'd be
what?
interested. I'd be interested for you. Is this one you'd be like, oh yeah, let me go watch that again?
No, it's deeply dark, and I don't think that I could really truly sit through it. Well, here's the thing, it's twofold. The layers and the darkness, it is hard to watch, right? It's very hard to watch because there's a lot of brutality, so it is hard to watch. But I do feel like you should watch it again to pick up on the things that you may have missed the first time.
See, I think
And
so, but
there
it's
are
so
some
long. I don't want
subtleties
to do
in
that.
there. There are some subtleties that I feel like, we really need to look into again, some hints. I think that there are things I didn't pick up on the first time that I would want to see again, but it is very, I might just need to fast forward through the brutality, probably is
Okay.
the piece that I probably have to, relook on.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I appreciate that. So now I want to move into Bruise. You put Bruised on our list.
I
So
did.
can you talk about that one for me?
So Bruised is, what people have been waiting for. Directed by Halle Berry, it's her directorial debut. She stars in it. And it is about a woman. She portrays she portrays the main character, Jackie Justice, who is a former fighter, right? She is a mixed martial arts UFC fighter. And there's 4 years had passed since her last fight when she, basically fumbled the bag in that fight. And we end up finding out why. So, Jackie's life is so very complicated. Her manager is also her boyfriend. He is verbally abusive, at the least. And, he thinks that he has some sort of kind of hold on her and her career. So the film really is about Jackie finding herself, finding out what she wants, because her entire life she has been bruised, whether that be physically from these actual fights, because she is a born fighter. She has natural talent, and she tried to play into that natural talent to really train to win these fights. But emotionally, psychologically, there isn't anyone in Jackie's life when we first meet her that truly loves her. If you're being honest, right? Like, no one really loves her. No one has protected her. She hasn't had the type of guidance in life that she should, and now she's an older woman and she doesn't know how to give love because she's never received it. And I think that's really the crux of the story. So, through a series of events, someone important to her comes back into her life, and it really forces her to choose who she wants to be in this life. And if she wants to be a fighter, then she needs to work at it. If she wants to be, she has to really choose to work at the life that she wants. And finally getting there. So, obviously it takes a dark turn of events and series of events to get there. But I think she finally grows up. I think really that's the story, like her growing up and finding herself and understanding how to love herself and to receive the love that she deserves in this world and who she really wants to be.
I like a couple of things about this. I like the overall premise of this broken down fighter trying to find themselves. That seemed interesting, and I want to see that. I also like the overall acting in this. And when we talk about people who steal the show, this young man with no words whatsoever uh,
Hmm.
can't even speak, and the you talk about being expressive with your eyes and your body and what's happening. The acting, that acting was his name is Danny Boyd Jr. and he
He's been
killed
in a lot of things this year
he
and
he
last year.
he killed it. Not
Hmm.
he was really good. But the other person who stole the show for me was Sheila Atim, who plays Budokan.
Budokan. Hmm.
I I I felt as a character was a little mysterious, was just
Hmm.
a lot of stuff was there, and the time that Sheila had on the screen really stood out for me. And then lastly, I felt that the mom did was real was was really good in this as well. So I want to give Hallie some kudos from a directing perspective, because I think that she was able to pull out some really good acting performances in this piece. And I think that if people are looking for the fighting, it's really just one really big fight scene, if you will, and it's decent. It's not bad at all. You'll I think you'll be satisfied. But it's really about what you were saying, trying to find herself and
Hmm.
trying to figure out what type of person that they want to be. So I like this overall. Of course, I'm always that cynic or whatever, but there's one thing that bothered me about this film. She had so much going on in her life, KB, that I wanted more from the character, from her character. There was something from a depth perspective, that you got mama, you got boyfriend, you got girlfriend, you got all this kind of stuff just happening, but there was something. I don't think that they got to the meat of who she was, even though they danced around it. And I just wanted more about her, as opposed to kind of just things just kind of hitting her in the face. I'm not saying that they didn't do a decent job. I totally would watch it. And I think she did a better job from a directing standpoint and I think she was
Mm.
outshined personally from an acting standpoint from her coworkers.
Yeah, for it to be so long, also too long, because I was like, "Ooh, this movie is too long." For it to be so long, we could have cut out some of the middle of Jackie's story because things weren't really changing, right? She didn't really learn that many lessons in the middle. She finally get there, but the middle is kind of the same. And I wonder if that's partially due to the fact that she was the director. Do you know what I mean? In terms
Oh,
of
interesting.
figuring out, like the balance of it all, because, to your point, Danny Boy Jr., who literally does not say a word, like, you are just like, oh, he's so captivating, right? He's so captivating. And he truly is not doing anything but acting with his eyes, which is a challenge for adults, let alone for a child. Okay. So he's killing it. Sheila, you're right. She is mysterious, and there's not a lot that you know about her, but she is captivating, and she is doing a lot with what she's given.
She
And
is.
her relationship with Manny, Budokan's relationship with Manny very early on was really one of my favorites. Just seeing them in the same scenes, the level of care that she has for Manny, the level of understanding, the level of patience that she has with Manny, was really just so wonderful and so endearing. And
Love that.
what I wanted to see more of for me personally in this film was Jackie watching that and gaining something from
Mm,
watching that dynamic. That's something that I wanted to see because I was like, "Oh, how nice would it have been if she could just take a back seat and watch how they interact and start to learn some things in the middle of this film that really changed the trajectory of her life."
mm. I
But we
like that.
never got there, right? So I would have loved that. The music is fantastic. I think Halle Berry did something incredible by getting all female hip hop artists, on the soundtrack. It's amazing. The music sounds good. But you're right. I mean, Jackie's character development is my least favorite, quite frankly, in the entire film. I think and also, quite frankly, we kind of dropped the ball on Budokan's at the end too, right? Like there's a moment that
It,
happens towards the end
yes,
that I need to
yes.
know more of, and we just did not explore. So, I like this. Will I watch it again? To your point, probably not. It is also very brutal to watch, like because it is very a lot of blood and gore in terms of physical. So, if that's not really your thing, but I don't necessarily need to see it again. Like I got everything from it. I don't think there's some like layers or deeply hidden meaning in it. I think I watched it once and I understand what it is meant
Yeah.
to be, but I still wanted more. Leaving that Budokan thread
Okay.
hanging is not good for me. I'm
I,
like,
I am
ooh, I need more.
you and I, a lot of times you'd be like, nah, Reggie, I don't agree with you. But we agree on this one. I'm
Hmm.
like, there was stuff left that I wanted from this film. Uh, I watched it. I would recommend it's a watch it for me. I would
Yeah,
tell people to absolutely check it out. But I'm with you as well. This wouldn't be one that I would be like, okay, hey, you want to go watch that again? Because
right.
sometimes you watch these movies maybe for the fight scenes, be like, well, let me see that again. No, it was nothing spectacular. I think Hallie came across really good if she did most of these stunts as well. Looked realistic in this, so I don't
I
want
will say that. Shout out to Hallie for training like getting her body and her mind in prepared for the character of a Jackie Pretty Bull Justice. Shout out to her for that alone. And then also doing that, because she's doing that in tandem. I think this is probably her most challenging body of work from the standpoint of she physically had to be prepared to play this role while
that's right.
also mentally stepping into the director seat and navigating both of those things. I think this is probably her most challenging feat for sure. And she definitely kills it as a director because she was
I agree.
definitely pulling out these performances
I
that
agree.
she definitely killed it physically. Because, child, I was looking at her like, girl, I'm gonna do that one time and I'm gonna pass out, honey.
That's right. She
So,
did some kind of like burpee thing where you jump up on the box or
girl,
whatever. Like
I,
right. Yeah,
I
I
said, Hallie,
don't think I'm going to be doing that. All right, let's get to this last one so you can get to your Thanksgiving festivities.
now wait a minute, wait
Well,
a
good.
minute.
Go ahead.
We got King Richard, and I hope that's what you're talking about.
That's what I was going to talk about. What else we had on our list?
Okay,
I
because
missed
I'm
one.
like,
I missed one.
listen, I'm like, we
Did
got
I
yes,
miss?
and you missed House of Gucci, so we got
Oh,
two
all
more.
right, girl. So you want which one you want to do? You want to do House of Gucci or you want to do
We can
King?
do both
I
because
mean,
House of
which one
Gucci.
last? Which one last?
Let's do King Richard last.
All right, all right, all right. So I look, I think when I talked to you about Lady Gaga and A Star Is Born, you were like
No,
Gaga.
we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk
I'm
about
talking
it.
about a long time ago.
No, we never talked about
We
it.
never talked about it.
Mm-mm.
Do you like Lady Gaga in A Star Is Born, right?
I think she was. Yeah, I think she was fine. I think that her and Bradley Cooper. I think they needed each other to play off of that in this particular film.
And they, to me, they really complemented each other really well in that.
Yeah.
So you're saying to yourself, well, what is she gonna do to follow that up with? And lo and behold, we got the House of Gucci. So for people who don't understand what the House of Gucci is about, the House of Gucci is about the Gucci empire. And there's really two wings of the Gucci empire. One brother has half of it, the other brother has the other half. And the question is, are they going to move in the right direction? Are they going to innovate in the same way? Are they going to work the business in the same way? And that's a recipe for disaster because they didn't agree. There was some backstabbing here or there, and there's some moves behind each other's backs, all this type of stuff to try to figure it out. So what happens in this one is that Adam Driver, by the way, Adam Driver plays the son of one of the halves, and
Yep, Maurizio.
and he he falls in love with with someone who should not even be in the family. I mean, a woman.
No,
Well,
wait a minute.
according to them,
Okay.
I'm not talking about according to me. According to them, she shouldn't be in the family. She's from where? She's they got a construction,
Transportation. They got a
they
transportation
got a
business.
transportation business. That's beneath us. We the Gucci's. What you talking about? Everything Gucci over here, So he falls in love with her. They end up getting married, and she starts to try to mastermind how the whole plot in the family should move forward. And I'm gonna tell you, I forgot that was Lady Gaga. I did. I forgot that was Lady Gaga. I thought she played that character and she jumped off the screen. And Al Pacino, for me, I loved his character as well. I think Adam Driver is building a resume for himself to just show how versatile he is. You talk about Jesse Plemons. I'm just saying, I think Driver is in that same is actually driving a lot of stuff here. The question is the question is the fact of the Gucci family, is the story of the Gucci family, is that interesting enough? That's really the question. Are you interested enough to stay and see the inner dealings and the turmoil and the scheming in the Gucci family? For me, I was like, yes. It was interesting enough for me. It was long, by the way. We keep talking about long. We keep talking about long movies, by the way. I'm like, how these people don't figure out that you don't need to make these movies that long? But the turmoil for me was interesting enough for me to stay. So I see your faces. Give it to me, girl.
This was way too long. Like, honestly, I was like, what time is it? So here's the thing. I feel like there were two parts of the film happening, and I did a debrief with someone and we discussed this. Lady Gaga is acting down. Listen, I think that she does an incredible job. My first point of contention, these accents. Baby, what? Jeremy Irons was still British, firmly. And I
No
was
doubt,
like,
no doubt.
so nobody could get their Italian accent together. Jared Leto as Paolo, who is the eccentric cousin of Maurizio, Adam Driver's character. Um, he 100% sounded like Luigi from Mario and Luigi the video games, the Nintendo video. Like, to me, I was like, what? And I don't know if that was intentional. So I will say this. oftentimes during the film, it felt like this was a satire, like there were supposed to be caricatures of
Ah,
it. There were
okay.
different points in the film where I was, like, laughing because I was like, "Wait, they're supposed to be I think they're not supposed to be taking themselves seriously here." Like, it kind of felt like that. So, I think personally, Paolo was brilliant from the film's perspective. He was brilliant from a design sense, right? And his family, because he was so eccentric, because he wanted to push Gucci to the next level in a way that didn't really fit with their traditional format, they shunned him. So that part I was fine with. Maurizio didn't even want to be in the family business and didn't have the drive. So, quite frankly, he should have been thanking Patricia because she is the one who really had the whole vision for all of this. So, yes, she was playing chess with everybody. Yes, she was manipulating everyone, but because she saw a grander picture, and honestly, at the end of that grand picture was a pot of gold. She was greedy. Like, that's what she wanted. She wanted it
Yeah,
all. She
I'm so
wanted
glad.
fortune. She wanted everything. But I'm okay with that because, quite frankly, Maurizio, his father told him, quite frankly, listen, your wife seems like this is what she wants. Mauricio said, "Nah, man, I'm in love." Okay, well, you ain't listen to your daddy. So, like, at the end of the day, he tried to tell you what she wanted. And quite frankly, I think Patricia loved him enough, but it was very clear that this is what she wanted. Like, to me, I didn't think she was hiding anything. Like, it was very obvious that, like, her goal was to be a winner and she was going to win by any means necessary. So, I think for me, the first half of the story is so much so the Patricia, like, rise, so to speak. And then the second half, she barely in it until the end. Like, I was like, I feel like we could have done this better because then I
Huh.
understand that we were trying to see how, Maurizio, like, edged her out and what that did to her personally and why she became so vengeful. But I was just like, okay, y'all, from a writing perspective, we could have gotten here sooner, like a lot sooner, because also this film was over 2 hours. So,
Yeah,
like, we could
yeah.
have gotten here a lot sooner and we could have figured it out. Because to me, the most intriguing part, why I wanted to see this was because, and this is not a spoiler, is in the trailer. Why you watching this film? It's a murder story. So, like, for me, I wanted the murder. Like, please bring the murder on a lot sooner so we can get to the nitty gritty. I feel like they rushed through the murder. To be quite honest, like it was
Okay.
just kind of like, oh, okay, well, here we go, murder, and this the end. Like, I said, well, wait a minute now.
I like this more than I thought I would though. Is that to your point? You talk about two things. There were two stories here. The first story is the first story is really about Lady Gaga's character. That's
Hmm.
Patricia. It really is, and you see her from the beginning. She's stalking this man. She's trying to figure out how we gonna make this happen. We gonna make this
Now,
work.
Reggie, I'm not really going to call her a stalker because she really did not like stalk him. What she did was she found an opportunity.
Okay, okay. Girl,
No, she definitely
girlfriend
stalked him that first time. She definitely stalked him.
girlfriend sought the dude out. She like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find out where he is, when he is, and we gonna bump into each other more than one time.
We're gonna
So
bump into each other.
you're right, like we gonna bump into each other more than one time. And I was hooked. I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't as upset about the second part of the story because the second part of the story is Mauricio's story. It's his
POV.
story. It's his story and uh how he kicked her out, all the moves he made to try to make some changes. And it was really interesting. Interesting enough for me to be like, yep, you dirty dog. Now I understand how you did her just straight
He
out
did.
wrong.
And
Straight
it's
out
so
wrong.
interesting to me because, well, this happens often, so I can't even say that. It often happens where the woman who is with the individual when they are on the come up
I'm
and
gonna
who
come up,
plants these ideas and who essentially what
nurture the
turns
whole
his
thing.
neck a little bit to come into who he is, they abandon that woman almost immediately, right? When they just get a hint of something else or, the money starts coming in, or, the fame and the acclaim and all of those things. So once he became a big shot and started to, see what the world could become, he dropped her so quick. And it was wrong. He actually treated her like she wasn't the mother of his kids.
He,
Like he
that,
treated her like she was,
that's right.
someone on the street, and she didn't have any say in this. And when at the end of the day, we all know that she compromised her entire livelihood for him. She was truly a ride or die for him, and he was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
girl, whatever."
The thing though that I like that you said is that she was about it though.
She was.
Even though she did some compromising, we have to put it out there. She was still about it. She was like, this is where I'm trying to go. And she tried to make it happen. I think this is worth watching personally. I've seen some of my colleagues were like, I wouldn't check it out. It is all the movies we've talked about were a little bit too long for me, and this one's probably what was longer
The
than
longest.
the longest for me. So I totally agree. But I was interested enough to stay with the ride, and I'm not going
I
to get
say,
in.
listen, if you gonna watch it, you just gotta know you gotta stay till the end, because you're not gonna get what you're looking for until mostly the
There
end.
we go.
And oftentimes in the film, you're seeing a lot of extravagance, you're seeing a lot of different things happen and occur, but you gotta wait to the end. But it's long,
All
and they
right.
could have shaved down a strong percentage of it. Because I was like, listen, we can do a little bit with Paolo, we can do a little this, just shave it down a little bit for me. But I was when I say performances, Adam and Lady Gaga, for me, those two performances I think are really stellar.
Yeah, and I have to say this is that I knew when I watched this movie, I was thinking about you because I knew you were going to mention the accents. Is that I knew you were going to mention the accents. I'm just going to tell you because I suspend belief in these things. I'll be like, okay, I'm not going to worry about these accents because if I do, it's going to distract me from watching the film.
It
I,
was distracting because
and,
as soon as I heard Jeremy Irons, I said, "Now, sir, you didn't even try with this Italian accent. You just said." And listen, Jeremy Irons is an iconic actor. He probably said, "Honestly, Imma do what I want." And quite frankly, he's earned the right to with his career. So he probably was like, "Okay." But honestly though, sir, like, he
I
was
knew you're gonna have a
British.
problem with that. All right, we got to get this last one in, and this is the one. This is the one for you, right?
King Richard.
All right, tell me about this one.
So, this wow. I have never wept more in a movie,
Oh wow.
truly bawling. It is a biographical drama, about the Williams family. I'll say family. It is about, Venus and Serena, their training, their early years, that really made them into the women that they are today. And I say women because they are so much more than champions, and I appreciate their parents' care. There's something about this film that young Black girls go unprotected all the time in every scenario. Black women are the least protected group in the world. And it's something about their parents intentionally making sure that their kids were able to be kids, were able to be young girls, were able to just do normal things so that they can have a semblance of a life that prepared them for how challenging, quite frankly, the world is for us as Black women that I adored. So it starts in Compton, where they are born, and obviously it's about Richard Williams, their father, who put their all into training them. But for me, this film is less about Richard and more about the women. I think that, Will Smith was able to get Richard Williams' mannerisms down and kind of his cadence down in a very real way. It's kind of eerie and scary. And even I think Venus and Serena have said, like, oftentimes they were looking at Will like, oh my gosh, am I looking at my own father, remembering that? And he does fine. Like, he does a good job. But for me, is it Oscar worthy? I don't think that Will's performance works without Ingenue Ellis, without Demi Singleton, and without Sanaya Sidney. I think that his performance is only as good as those three. And Ingenue playing their mother and being steadfast, I just think Ingenue never misses. That's it. every role that she embodies, she truly elevates in every single way. Sanaya, I this little girl, I'm sorry, I should not call her a little girl, but I'm significantly older than her. But this young woman, she was exceptional in The Passage, where she had her own show. She was the lead. Fox canceled it, of course, because we know how Fox does us. But she was the lead with Mark Paul Gosselaar, and she was incredible there, and she caught my eye there. And so just being able to see her step into the role of Venus, I think she does a stellar job. So it's all the women, all of the Williams girls, and how they honored this legacy in their life and their career and their training and the sacrifices, because ultimately the American dream was not made for us, right? And the amount of sacrifices that we as Black people have to make in order to get a small piece of the American dream pie is outstanding. They sacrificed everything. Their parents, their sisters even sacrificed everything for them, because they were riding on the fact that, all right, these two are best. Out of all of us, all places, we all train, but these two are going to go somewhere, so we need to back them. How can we support them? It was just so incredible to watch. So I think it's a must see film in general, because I grew up in the age of the rise of Venus and Serena, and I remember watching them, on TV. And I remember going to my first US Open where Serena was, and I remember seeing all of these things. And so it's just such an incredible, incredible film. But I'm not saying Will doesn't do a great job, because he does, but I just think that the women bring it and they do it better. And his performance just don't work without them.
All right,
Period.
all right. So a couple things. So I like this film as much as you. I think it is absolutely a must see. I will take it from a different angle. Being a male, I think that that this film is about Will Smith. In addition, this is a and this is not a but. That it is about Mr. Richard, Mr. Williams, excuse me. And the reason that I say that is that this is a this is a movie that combats that narrative of the single mother
Hmm.
household. This is a film that shows the depth and breadth of a father. This shows that which we don't get to see. We see mamas doing all the stuff that Ingenue does all the time. This does not take away anything from her performance. She was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. There's a couple of scenes in there where she sets it straight to let people know that, look, yes, this might be called King Richard, but
But we a team.
you might have been the flight planner, but we are co-pilots,
Hmm.
so we in this together. But there is just no way how strong this movie is for a black male. The
Hmm.
what it shows for a man to say, oh heck, hold up. Who protects his kids? He's like, oh heck no, you're not about to ask this girl this thing again. She just told you with confidence what she was feeling. Oh no, we going to Disney World. We going to Disneyland. This guy was a dad, and I love to see that, because what we see so often is that it's just a black woman handling her business. No, we got to see a dad handling his business with his family, and it was not just a little bit. He wasn't just a little bit player in this thing. He
Hmm.
was King Richard. Now, when we talk about the tennis part, he gets vindicated because everybody talks about how crazy he is. The thing that bothered me about this film is which is that it still comes across as if he was quirky, weird, and
Hmm.
I don't have a problem with that, by the way, because that doesn't mean that quirky and weird can't be successful. But I want people to also know that he was innovative, that he was visionary, that so in addition to that quirky stuff, I don't want that to be the first thing that you see, because when you see Bill Gates in them and you see guy from Facebook, they know that these guys are a little quirky, but the first thing you talk about these guys is innovation, is vision, is all these other types of things. So I mean, this is not the movie's fault. It's just how it comes across. I think Will did a phenomenal job, and I believe that the only reason that it's a good movie is because he had to have the other three people. It can't it you
Yeah,
you
it does
can't
not work without
but
them.
but but Ingenue's stuff doesn't work without Will. So
Right.
I'm like, okay, yeah. And
Yeah.
normally when you get an Oscar, you can't get an Oscar if you're not acting against some good people. These people,
That's true.
these folks, all three of the people that you mentioned killed it. And as quiet as it kept, the people who played the coaches killed it. I mean,
Yes.
that
John Berthenow. Mm,
they
going toe to
really
toe.
they
Yeah.
put this together. The casting was good. It was this is one of those movies that to me in tennis, love means zero. But
Mm,
in this movie, love means so much more. There was love for family, which you talked about. There was love for life, which you also talked about. Like, well, we're not going to just push these kids through tennis. They need to have life with them. They need to go to school. They need to go play. They need to have some other things that happen. And then there was love for the game. And so I'm going to say for this movie, for me, love, game, set, match. I felt that the producers and filmmakers in this one aced it. I'm thinking this is a must see.
yeah, it's a definite must see. And again, I'm not taking anything for Will's performance. I do think he did a great job, but it's the women for me. Then, and maybe it's because it's a story about young Black girls. That's why it resonated the most with me. But you are correct. I would be remiss. For me, it was less about the protection of the girls. Like he definitely protected them, and that's great, but he loved them. And I think seeing that was more impactful for me. He always told them, "Okay, daddy loves you. No matter what, we might be beefing right now as a family, we might not be on the same page, but I want you to never forget how much I love you." And it wasn't just for the two of them, it was for, because obviously their three older sisters were not his biologically, but you would not have known that in the way that he treated them, based on this film. He treated them all equally and with so much love. And it was just a beautiful thing to see. So I 100% watch it.
Well, look, we talked more than we talked in a long time because we got in some films in this one. And I think was there a film that we talked about that you didn't want say not don't watch? I think we're saying
No,
uh,
I think we said what? Even though House of Gucci gonna take you on a long-winded roller coaster, you're
oh,
gonna have to stay for the Murder Mayhem because really that's why I signed up. So Murder Mayhem signed me up, but you eventually get there, but it's gonna take you a long time. But
it's gonna take
truly, I
you
think I think all of them have been, watch it, and none of them for me were a mild watch it. I do think that you should support them. Were any of them mild for you?
the one that I least like in terms of watching
Was Power of the Dog for
was
you, right?
Power of the Dog. I
And I liked it.
Belfast, I would watch again. I'd watch
Oh,
Belfast
100%.
again.
Yeah.
King Richard, I've already watched again. Bruised, I probably wouldn't watch again, but I think it's worth watching. And
Mhm.
Power of the Dog, I definitely would not watch again. I think your
You would
point.
watch House of Gucci again?
Oh yeah,
No, because it's too long? Oh,
I
okay.
had I had fun watching House of Gucci. I laughed so much.
I did laugh
I
because
laughed. I
Lady
can't.
Gaga was let me tell you,
I,
Lady Gaga, when I said, "Now, ma'am, what are we talking about?" She said, "I don't find myself to be particularly ethical, but I am fair."
I,
What?
I laughed at that movie. It had enough in it to keep me, even though it is long. But so I would watch it again with my wife if she was like, "Hey, hon, let's sit down and watch it." Now I'm not gonna be like, "Let take somebody to go see it," but I know I'm not gonna go see Power of the Dog again. I'm
Okay.
I'm just not gonna do it. I th-
Well, for me, everything's a watch it.
yeah, me too. It Power of the Dog, the just for the performances alone, and I told you that uh, uh McPhee for me
Cody is the one, truly.
was really good. Look, KB, I really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be back next week. We'll hopefully can get look, our friends, you guys are all doing some great things. So when you can't make the show, all I can say to myself is like, man, I am so excited for you guys. I saw Katya doing something with NBC.
Come on, Katya. Love to see it.
It is so good to see that. So again, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy the family, and I'll see you again next time.
Thanks. Same to you.